what is going on, YouTube fam? I got a new video coming out today. This one going to be for repossessions, foreclosures, and bankruptcy removal. This is Upper Echelon Capital. It's our business page, so we really going to get into it. If you like this channel, when I'm bringing, like, subscribe, make sure you support the channel so we can give y'all more good content and it can push us to the algorithm, because I know other people gonna want to see this, because not a lot of people is dropping information like this on YouTube, especially when it comes to credit repair. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So I do want y'all to understand the role of the consumer reporting agencies that report bankruptcy. So Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, those are the big three that we hear of, often referred to as credit bureaus, even though they are not really actual bureaus. So Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion are credit reporting agencies. Credit reporting agencies, they report information about consumers when they establish lines of credit with financial institutions. So, for example, you finance a car with Chase Bank, right? There's going to be an auto loan that's going to be reported on your Experian report in the next 30 to 60 days saying that you have an open auto with Chase Bank. That's an example of consumer reporting, okay? So, these are consumer reporting agencies, okay? They are not federal government bureaus. Bureau means government institution, okay? These are private companies. Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, Innovis, LexisNexis, all these is private companies. Just like you go and set up an LLC today, that's your own private company, you no different than LexisNexis and Experian, okay? So I just want to let y'all know that these are private companies, okay? So just so you know. Okay, y'all. So I want y'all to understand that the credit reporting agencies, they make money in two different ways, okay? So they make money from charging financial institutions for access to your information, which is when the banks, they pull credit. Every time they pull your credit to get a credit card, an auto loan, a mortgage, bank account, anything like that, credit reporting agencies charge them for that. They charge them per transaction. Every time they want to pull your consumer report or get a credit report from Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, they charge them every time, okay? The second way they make money is by reselling your information, okay? So they charge financial institutions, right? Like Chase and Wells Fargo and your credit union and stuff like that. They charge these financial institutions to be able to report your consumer information and credit history with them, okay? That's called being a data furnisher to the consumer reporting agencies, okay? So Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, if I want to go ahead and report my customers that do credit repair with me, for example, right? I get an agreement with them to become a data furnisher, and now I got to pay a monthly fee to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion to be able to report my client's credit and information, okay? So that's how that works. And this brings me to another point, guys, okay? Bad credit is $1 billion industry. This is literally one of the industries that runs America as we speak, okay? So since credit reporting agencies report information on consumers and they resell it many times over to other private companies, this information, it fuses together and it creates a consumer report on you, okay? Also called a credit file, okay? So when you go to the medical doctor and they get your information, they gonna go ahead and resell it, right? When you go to the auto dealership, they get your information, they resell it. That information that they're compiling from you, that makes your credit file that people look at, okay? So the moment that you have a financial hardship or you miss a payment for whatever reason, the credit reporting agencies are quick to report this to go ahead and lower your credit score, okay? They are quick to lower your credit score, okay? So the lower credit score that you have that they report, right, because of late payments, missed payments, charge-offs, collection, whatever, the lower your credit score means the higher of down payments you got to make on loans, the higher interest rates that you're going to have when it comes to lending, right? And that's the higher interest rates, which makes financial institutions make more money off you at the end of the day, okay? So understand that financial institutions have no problem paying the credit reporting agencies a bag to go ahead and get your consumer information, because they understand that as soon as one negative thing comes, the consumer reporting agency going to pick it up and apply it to your consumer report. And then when they underwrite you for loans, they're going to say, oh, okay, well, this person just had a late payment, or this person just had high utilization. Okay, so their interest rate gonna be 5% higher than we were gonna get them without it. So I want y'all to understand that, you know, it's all built to be against you. This whole system is built to be against you. Okay, like they want to see higher interest rates. They want to see subprime loans. Subprime lending is what runs the United States. When people with 580 credit scores, they be quick to hop on the FHA because it's 3.5% down. But yeah, your mortgage and your interest rate is going to be really high because your credit score is not good. And part of this is because of the consumer reporting agencies, y'all. It's all made to make you spend more when y'all want to get lending or funding. So understand that this is the game that they playing with you. So boom, y'all, we gonna get right into it, okay? I know this is what y'all been waiting for. This how we gonna go ahead and get the repossessions, the foreclosures, and the bankruptcies get removed using consumer law, okay? So it's really the same process for all three type of accounts, for real. Foreclosures and bankruptcies is a little bit more interrelated than the repossession, but it's still all the same stuff. Still all the same violations. So we're going to check out 15 U.S. Code 6802, obligations with respect to disclosures of personal information. Y'all can simply just Google 15 USC 6802 on Google. It's going to take y'all to Cornell, and I want y'all to go ahead and meet me on that website so we can get into it. Okay, guys. So we're going to get right into it. The first thing is going to be 15 USC 6802, now that we're here. The important thing here is that any financial institution may not directly or through any affiliate disclose to a non-affiliated third party any non-public personal information unless that financial institution has provided the consumer a notice that complies with section 6803, which we're going to go over that, what the notice is going to look like in a minute, right? But I want y'all to understand that in this situation, whether you have a repossession or whether you have a foreclosure or whether you have a bankruptcy, right? In the event that you have a foreclosure or you have a bankruptcy, understand that it's a court issue with the local court. That's what like a foreclosure and a bankruptcy are more sort of. Those are public records, but they are court records. Okay, that's just kept within your state. That's not supposed to be reported to any consumer reporting agencies. Number one, okay. You can ask any bankruptcy court, you can call your bankruptcy court that's local to you and ask them if they report to the credit reporting agencies. They're going to tell you no 100% of the time, okay? But number two, right? I know that any of you guys that have a repossession on your consumer report or have a foreclosure or bankruptcy, y'all never got no type of written notice, you know what I mean, that said that they're going to report, you know, information on you, and I know you never signed off or agreed to it. You never gave them any type of permissible purpose to go ahead and make these accounts about you or furnish this information about you, okay? So that's number one. But we're going to get into, you know, what the notices are supposed to look like from these financial institutions. And understand that your court, when you have a bankruptcy or foreclosure, it is a financial institution. Why? Just because they aren't a bank doesn't mean that they are not conducting financial activities, okay? When you have a foreclosure, right, the bank, what it's going to do is it's going to literally take the house from you and sell it on the court steps at a court auction, okay? It's a local auction where they sell it and they make money, okay? They sell an asset and make money from it. That's a financial activity, okay? It's an auction. An auction is inherently a financial activity, okay? Anything that's auctioned is a financial activity. So your courthouse is still going to be considered a financial institution in this regard. So it's still subject to everything in the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Any agency that pulls any information from your court and furnishes it to your consumer report is still subject to these same laws, okay? So I want y'all to understand that a court is still a financial institution, okay? Bankruptcies are financial activities, okay? They're going to give you a letter that states, you know, maybe a payment plan if you have like a chapter 13 or whatever the case might be, and they're still going to tell you, it still has to do with money, it still has to do with transactions. Those are financial activities. It doesn't matter. So I want y'all to understand that whether it's the repo, the foreclosure, or a bankruptcy, it still has to do with a financial institution. So the laws still pertain. Okay, guys. So let's get into it. So as far as the disclosure and what that written permissible purpose needs to look like before, you know, they put anything on your consumer report, okay? Understand that the permissible purpose has to have the policies and the practices when it comes to the non-public personal information sharing to any non-affiliated third parties. Okay, so they have to clearly disclose that they are asking for consent to release your information to any of these credit reporting agencies. So whether it be LexisNexis, whether it be Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, they have to have written permission from you as a consumer to be able to disclose these things on your consumer report. Okay, so understand that when this happens, they generally don't. Let's talk about the repossession first. Okay, so you're at the car dealership, right? When you guys go to get a car, right? Especially if you finance at the dealership, right? The salesperson is going to tell you to submit the credit application, right? Okay, but they might have you sign off on the disclosure to pull a credit report initially, but they're never going to present you with a form stating that we're going to share your information to Experian and Equifax and TransUnion. They're never going to get it. They don't give y'all that shit at the dealership. That's supposed to be one of the first things they give y'all to sign off on. Before y'all talk about the paperwork, before y'all talk about the inquiry, before y'all talk about running the credit, that's one of the first things they're supposed to give you at the dealership is a opt-in and opt-out form that's going to give you clear instructions as a consumer on what happens if you opt into your information sharing and how you can opt out of your information being shared to any third-party, non-affiliated third-party consumer reporting agencies. And I'm going to show you guys examples of what these forms look like. All right, y'all, so we're going to attack the repossession first, because I know this is what y'all have a lot of questions on, is how to get repossession off your report. Okay. So, according to section 6803, just go ahead and look up 15 USC 6803, okay? We talking about the disclosures that they have to give you before you do any type of business transaction with a financial institution, okay? Especially when it's going to collect your consumer information, okay? At the time that you establish a relationship with the consumer, right, then what has to happen is the financial institution has to provide a clear and conspicuous disclosure to the consumer in writing or in an electronic format stating their policies and their practices with disclosing non-public personal information to affiliates and non-affiliated third-party agencies, which are Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, LexisNexis, CoreLogic, SageStream, yada yada, keep it going, right? They have to give you, that has to be on the form, okay? And they have to just tell you the practices when it comes to disclosing the non-public personal information, right, of you as a consumer when you join the financial institution. And they have to give you the policies and procedures on how they're going to protect your non-public personal information as a consumer, okay? I know y'all want to ask, what does that even mean, okay? So we're going to go right into it, right? So I'm going to give y'all some examples of forms that clearly and conspicuously a financial institution is supposed to give you at the start of a transaction before they collect any consumer data about you. All right, y'all. So remember how we just went over 15 USC 6803, and they said at the time of establishing a customer relationship with the consumer, right, that the financial institution has to provide you a clear and conspicuous disclosure in writing, right, about their policies and practices about disclosing the non-public personal information to y'all. That's number one, okay? Then, remember how we went over the opt-out rule, right? Where it says that a financial institution may not disclose non-public personal information to a non-affiliated third party unless that financial institution clearly and conspicuously discloses to the consumer in writing that information is going to be disclosed, and that the consumer is given the opportunity before the information is ever disclosed or reported that they can opt out, and they have to be given an explanation on how they can exercise their non-disclosure, on how they can opt out of their data being shared. Okay, guys? So when we talk about getting the repossession or the late payments off your auto, right? When you go into the dealership and you finance a vehicle, how many of y'all can really say that the salesperson or the finance manager or the sales manager presented a document like you're seeing in front of my face right now, that you're seeing on the screen right now? Never. When they say clear and conspicuous, this is the first thing they're supposed to show you at the dealership. Before we talk numbers and down payments and this and that, this is the first thing that they're supposed to show you as a consumer. When we talk about gathering your consumer information, this is the first thing they're supposed to show you. That is what clear and conspicuous means. Y'all get hit with these heavy ass finance binders at the dealership, and those finance binders, even if they have this in there, it's going to be toward the back. It ain't going to be at the front. Okay? It ain't going to be at the front. And this is where you can get this type of stuff discharged and removed, because this type of form, this SSA 89 form, when this asks for authorization to release your social security number and verify it and furnish information pertaining to your social, this is the type of form that they're supposed to give you. That's supposed to be the first thing they give you before you sign off any finance paperwork at a dealership. This is the first form that they're supposed to present to you. And there's another one called the SSA 3288 that we're about to get into, okay? But you see how this form clearly goes over the policy. It clearly says why they are needing your information, why they need your social to pull your consumer report, to apply for a loan, to apply for a car, this, that, and the third. It has a company name, it has a company address, it has the company's agent, okay? This is what clear and conspicuous opt-out looks like. This is what it looks like when they are getting your permissible purpose to furnish a consumer report, to furnish a consumer file about you. This is what it looks like. These are the type of forms they're supposed to disclose to you before you talk down payments and numbers and negotiations on the vehicle at the dealership. So this is the same way that people are getting their auto loans discharged from their consumer report. That doesn't mean that they're not paying on them. They're still paying the financial institution. But it is not worthy of being reported to your consumer report. And we're going to go over another form. And on another note too, when it comes to the foreclosure and when it comes to the bankruptcy, okay? LexisNexis, okay? That is the consumer reporting agency that pulls your bankruptcy records from Pacer, which is the online electronic court system, okay? They are supposed to get a written permission from you using this form and the 3288 form to disclose this information and put this information on your consumer report. So this is how you're going to get that this is part of how you're going to get the bankruptcy removed and also the foreclosure. So I just want to put that out there. And also, y'all, I just want to quickly point out just another thing. As you read that little paragraph with the Privacy Act statement, it clearly says that furnishing that information is voluntary. Okay, y'all? Like, you clearly see how it says that furnishing that information is voluntary. Okay? So that already tells you what you need to know as far as you have a right to opt out. You have a right to not have your information being shared about a financial transaction. Just because you have an auto loan doesn't mean that it needs to report to your credit. Just because you have a mortgage doesn't mean that it needs to report to your credit. Okay, y'all? So don't get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. Okay, y'all. So here goes another form, okay? We're going to talk about SSA 3288, okay? This is the consent for release of information, okay? Highly, highly important. We just talked about the opt-out. We just talked about how they need to have consent in order for your information to be released to any third-party consumer agencies, okay? So here we go, all right? So this is another form where it clearly and conspicuously will tell you the instructions for using the form, and also we're going to go down on the form so I can show you a few other features of this form. So when we talk about financial institutions and the disclosures for reporting consumer information, they need to have a reason why, a specific reason why they're trying to procure your consumer report. And this is one of the forms that clearly goes over, hey, I'm procuring this consumer's report to see if he's eligible to do this or to do that or to do another thing. So that was the last point I wanted to get as far as this first page. Now we're going to go into page 2. So as you guys can clearly see here, right, the consent for release of information is clearly going to make sure that the consumer has an express written consent and is providing permissible purpose, right? How do we know this, right? Because it clearly has where you can put your full name, you put your date of birth, and you put your social security number, okay? And then when it says, I authorize the Social Security Administration to release information or records about me to, the name of the person or organization is going to be the financial institution. And then the address and the phone number is going to be the address and the phone number for the financial institution. So that is where your bank info, your auto loan dealer info, whoever wants to pull your consumer report, that info will go right there. And then they tell you, as a consumer, I want this information. I want my information released because it's right there. That is what permissible purpose looks like. That is what permissible purpose looks like. You as a consumer are supposed to disclose on a written form like this, right? That your information, your non-public personal information that pertains to your social security number, why are you releasing that information? You are going to write why you're releasing that information. Because I'm applying for an auto loan, because I'm applying for a bank account, because I'm applying for a mortgage, right? That's when you give consent for your information to be reported. And then it's reported on your consumer report. That's how this is supposed to go. But it never goes like that because I know y'all have never seen an SSA 3288, and I know y'all have never seen an SSA 89 being issued at y'all dealership, at y'all bank, at y'all credit union, or wherever y'all go to go ahead and shop products. And if it is, it's not the first thing that you see when the banker or the salesperson is giving you the finance documents. It's giving you the documents related to the transaction. It's never there. That's not the first thing. Clear and conspicuous means that's the first thing that's supposed to be in that binder, in that folder that they show y'all. That's supposed to be the first thing that y'all see. The first thing I'm supposed to do is literally give them permission to report or not report consumer information about you, to disclose or not disclose consumer information about you. That's the first thing that's supposed to be handled before you go into the actual private business transaction that you have with that financial institution. And the last point here, y'all, is that generally speaking, most people just click 1 when you ever fill out this form, because unfortunately, not a lot of people have even seen this form, because that shit is not given to them before they go ahead and apply for stuff, which is sad. That's how y'all know that a lot of these banks, just because they are banks and financial institutions, do not mean that they don't commit identity theft. That do not mean that they don't just disclose your non-public personal information to so many other credit reporting agencies, to so many other consumer agencies. Y'all, they resell y'all stuff without y'all permissible purpose. That's identity theft. That is literally the definition of identity theft. Y'all don't believe me? Just Google it. So now I hope everything I said come full circle, because when we talk about the disclosures that are required, that's the disclosure that's required. The SSA 89 and the SSA 3288. If they don't have these type of disclosures at the time of establishing the consumer relationship, which is at the time of you making the bank account, at the time of you hopping in the dealership and applying for credit, at the time that you apply for any type of credit, if they don't have these forms signed by you with the express written authorization, which is called the permissible purpose, you can remove it from your consumer report, because that is a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. They're supposed to give you the disclosures for information sharing, and they're also supposed to tell you how you can opt out and how you can not disclose your public information. That is all supposed to be given to you beforehand. All right, y'all. So going on to the next thing, we're going to talk about removing your negative accounts using consumer law. And what we talking about specifically here is going to be more so related to the repossessions, and then we're also going to talk about the bankruptcy, and we're also going to talk about the foreclosure, because this really do relate to all three. So let's talk about what is going to be on your consumer report. Okay, so the term consumer report does not include any report containing information solely as to the transactions and experiences between the consumer and the person that is making the report. Okay, transactions are when you apply for credit. All right, that's an example. That's an inquiry, right? When you open a line of credit, that's a transaction. Like you get a credit card, you get a loan, you get a line of credit, you get a bank account. That's opening a line of credit, because it is an event that occurs between you as a consumer and a financial institution, be it a bank, be it a dealership, be it a place that does anything that has financial transactions or activities. Okay, so also your payment history, whether you're on time, whether you're late, whether it's sent to collections, whether it's a charged off account, these are all transactions that get reported on consumer reports. Okay, these are all examples of transactions that get reported to consumer reports. Okay, so the person that is making the report, a person, quote unquote, is going to be any type of entity. Okay, so I'm about to pull up a slide just to give the definitions of what a person is and all of that right now. So just so y'all can see, the term person means any individual, partnership, corporation, trust, estate, cooperative, association, government, or governmental subdivision or agency, or other entity. Okay, long story short, a corporation, that's all these are. Okay, Chase Bank, that's a corporation. PNC, that's a corporation. Your auto dealership, that's a corporation. Your mortgage company, that's a corporation. They all corporations, so they all are persons according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So I just want to break that down so y'all know exactly what they're talking about. Okay, now when we talk about experiences, right? Y'all know what the transactions are. That's every event that has to do between you as a consumer and your private line of credit with the financial institution. Okay, y'all already know that that's what that means. Every event that you do, open account, close account, whatever. Okay, your experiences have to do with your credit or bank account utilization, how you're using the line of credit that has been extended to you by the financial institution. The financial institution gives you a line of credit, which is going to be your credit card, your auto loan, your bank account, whatever. That's the extension of a private line of credit between you and them. Okay, so let's say, for example, right, you have a bank account that has $40 in it. You spent $5. The experience with that line of credit, right, which is that bank account, which is also considered a line of credit according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, that your experience with that line of credit is $5, because that's what you used out of the amount that you have to currently use. Okay, same thing goes for a credit card, right? Y'all have $1,000 credit card, y'all spent $100, right? That means that you only used 10% of the credit card, so you would have a 10% utilization, and that would be your experience with that line of credit. So now that we have the definitions, let's go into the meanings. Okay, so as y'all can see, a consumer report clearly is not supposed to pertain any information that's solely related to your transactions and your experiences with your private line of credit, guys. I want y'all to understand that everything y'all do with the financial institution, it starts out as a private business transaction. When they take y'all information and then they go ahead and furnish it to Experian and Equifax and TransUnion and Innovis and this and that, now that's a separate transaction. That transaction is independent of your transaction of being a customer or client with them. Okay, when y'all sign up for a bank account with Bank of America, that is a private line of credit that has been extended from Bank of America to you. They gave you membership. Your Bank of America membership has nothing to do with Chexsystems or early warning services. So when some of y'all overdraft on an account and that information is being reported, to these third-party non-affiliated agencies like Chexsystems or Early Warning Services, y'all can get that removed from y'all consumer report and go ahead and open up another bank account. All right. So we're going to get into that in another video, but I'm just giving you an example of how when y'all sign up for stuff, when y'all get a credit card, a bank account, or auto loan, whatever, that's a private line of credit between you and the financial institution. As a consumer, they don't give you the documents you need to tell you how to opt out of your information sharing. So once it's shared, it's damn near too late, and now you just got to get it removed from your consumer report. But they allow you to remove it because we all know what they're doing. Okay. All right, y'all. So now I want y'all to look at Section B of USC 15 USC 1681. All right, 15 USC 1681. You just go ahead and Google it, and you're just gonna go right to Section B, right? All right, boom. So in the exclusions, right, we're gonna go further down that list of the exclusions, right? We already know what the term consumer report does not include. This is also going to be on the list of exclusions, okay? A consumer report does not include any authorization or approval of a specific extension of credit directly or indirectly by the issuer of a credit card or a similar device. What is a credit card? Okay. A credit card, all it basically is just a direct line of credit, a business relationship. That's what it is. It's a business relationship between you and a financial institution. That's what a credit card is. So let me give you some examples of credit cards, right? Anything that you can use for the sake of getting credit extended to you or applying for credit, okay? So your ID, when you go to a car dealership, they ask for your driver's license, right? They need that to put in your information to the application, right? That's a credit card, okay? Your social security number, they might ask you for that to verify your identity, but that's still a credit card. They still use that to pull a consumer report on you to go ahead and grant you credit, okay? So there are many examples of credit cards and devices that we use to go ahead and apply for credit, okay, guys? So long story short, though, when it comes to, bankruptcies, repossessions, or even foreclosures, right? So the same people, right? Let's say it's a foreclosure. The same people that approved you for the mortgage, right? Understand that mortgage company, when you decided that you are approved and you want to accept a loan, right? That's a private business transaction, okay? That is not supposed to, your payments are not supposed to report to your consumer report. As it clearly, this is Congress. This is not me saying it just to say it. Congress is literally telling y'all that when you accept the offer, the finance offer, whether it be at the dealership, right? Or whether it be the mortgage company, right? That approval of that specific extension of credit between the financial institution and you, right? Whether it's direct or indirect, right? By the credit card issuer, right? Which is the finance company, the financial institution. That's not supposed to be on your consumer report. You have a right as a consumer to remove it if they report it. Okay? So understand that y'all, not only do y'all have so much firepower. Y'all have the 2 SSA forms that they don't give you before you sign up for shit. Y'all have the fact that they're not supposed to report y'all transactions and y'all experiences. And then on top of that, y'all have the fact that your authorization to accept your line of credit is not even supposed to be reported. The fact that you have this account is not supposed to be reported. When you get approved and you get the account, that's your private business transaction. You pay your bills and take care of that account as you should, but that's not supposed to be getting reported. And you can take this off your consumer report. This is why they have the laws, y'all. So we want to continue to move forward. All right, y'all. So we're going to take it even a step further, okay? When it comes to the bankruptcies and it comes to the foreclosures, okay? Bankruptcies and foreclosures, I need y'all to understand that these are matters of public record, okay? So if they show up on your consumer report or credit report, it's going to show up in the public record section, okay? But these delinquencies, these type of delinquent accounts, They are recorded within the local county clerk's courthouses wherever you live. Okay. These transactions are not ever reported by your local county courthouses. They don't report to any consumer reporting agencies, y'all. When you have a foreclosure, it's a matter of public record in your county and with your courthouse. Because when they repossess a home, which is basically what a foreclosure is, they go ahead and short sell it, or they sell it at an auction, okay, in front of the courthouse steps. It's a courthouse transaction, right? That's what it's a matter of, right? The local county courthouses, when it comes to bankruptcies and foreclosures, they do not report to any consumer reporting agencies. I just want y'all to know that. They don't report these events to consumer reporting agencies, okay? These type of public records and judgments are stored in Pacer, okay? Pacer is an electronic court record system. So every court record system that has like a physical courthouse in the United States reports to Pacer, okay? Pacer is not a consumer reporting agency. Pacer is simply just an online database into which electronic court records are there, and you can pay a fee to go ahead and access these court records. And unfortunately, companies like LexisNexis that are consumer reporting agencies, they pay a fee to be able to access Pacer, and they pull files from Pacer and they furnish it to you guys, consumer reports. That's how these bankruptcies and foreclosures come to be. Okay, they simply pay a fee. It's not like they have any legal subpoena or any court document stating that there's some type of federal bureau that is allowed to just do this, but they pay a fee just like anybody else, and they take those files and they furnish them to your consumer reports. That's how they show up. All right, y'all, so look, this is what the website looked like. This is what Pacer looks like, okay? It's a public electronic court system, okay, y'all? All of y'all clerk and county clerk offices and courthouses is all connected to this. This is the electronic record system where they store electronic records, okay? So it's easy because anybody can make an account and be able to pull consumer records. You know what I'm saying? Be able to pull consumer records from here to know like what happened with a case. You know what I'm saying? Like they can see the last four of the social, they can see the last four of the account number, whether it's a bankruptcy or a foreclosure, and they can actually search this information, okay? So companies like LexisNexis, they just create accounts just like anybody else, right? They just create a regular business account here. And because of that, they're able to go ahead and pull consumer information from here, and then they just decide that they want to furnish it to your consumer report. Nobody said it was legal, but they do it anyway. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Like that's just how it is. You just pay them, and you're able to make an account, and they are data furnishers, so they can take information and report it to the credit reporting agencies. Don't matter if it's legal or not. They have the right to do so, but you also have the right to remove them from your consumer report. So that's pretty much the give and take of the game. All right, y'all. So we won't even take it a step further, okay? So when it comes to bankruptcies and foreclosures and court rulings, right, there's a rule called Rule 9037, and it's regarding privacy protection for debtors and filings that are made for the court and redacted filings, okay, guys? So when you have a court filing, whether it's a bankruptcy or foreclosure, right, they are redacted, which means that only some of the information will show up when people try to pull information from the case, even with Pacer. The filings will only contain the last four digits of the social, the year of the individual's birth, which is not the full birth date, and the last four digits of the financial account number. Based off of this information, there is no way that a consumer reporting agency like LexisNexis can verify and validate this public record with 100% accuracy, okay? The full social, full date of birth, and full account number is needed in order to make sure that it is 100% verifiable and accurate information. Verifiable and accurate is a part of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Everything that's reported to your consumer report has to be 100% verifiable and accurate to be reported on your consumer report, okay? So you got a lot of firepower now. Number one, they're not supposed to be reporting your transactions and your experiences. We know that. Number two, they sharing your non-public, private information to third-party reporting agencies, right? LexisNexis in this scenario, right? Because your courthouse, your public courthouse, right? Because your public courthouse already does not report to any consumer reporting agencies, right? This means that LexisNexis is going in to Pacer and they're pulling information that they might think is about you, right? Because the information is redacted. Not all of the information is there. So how can you 100% verify that it's you, right? They're getting this information, right, without any type of permissible purpose from you as a consumer. They're just logging into a website and pulling it, mind you. So that's already illegal, right? And then they don't have any permissible purpose from you that says that they can disclose that information to other consumer reporting agencies, y'all. They took that information, they resell it to Experian, they resell it to Equifax, they resell it to TransUnion. Okay? So I just want y'all to understand exactly what's going on. They're taking information without a court subpoena or a permissible purpose. And we're going to go back to the permissible purpose law, and we're going to go to Rule 9037 so y'all can see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, y'all. So clearly, as y'all can see, right, I can't make it up. Any consumer reporting agency may furnish a consumer report under the following circumstances and no other. A, they need to have a court order that gives them jurisdiction, which is power, to issue an order or a subpoena that is issued in a connection with a grand jury to pull your consumer report and furnish a consumer report. Or they need written instructions from you as a consumer to whom the report relates. So when it comes to the bankruptcy, when it comes to the foreclosure, and when it comes to the repossession, right? Does the auto dealership have a court subpoena to furnish a consumer report about the fact that they repossess your vehicle? Hell no. Does the mortgage company, who when the account went bad and the house got foreclosed on, right? Do they have a court order stating that they are going to furnish this to your consumer report? Hell no. Y'all already know that the court system, they don't publish to consumer reporting agencies. So y'all know the answer to that is no. And then on top of that, y'all never gave them written permissible purpose. What did we talk about? We talked about the SSA 89. We talked about the SSA 3288. Shit, at least if they would have gave you like a little form that said, hey, do you know that your information is going to be reported to credit reporting agencies and this is how you can opt out? Even that would have been fine. But y'all was never issued that shit. Y'all are never issued any of that shit. Because they automatically, the financial institutions are already going to, excuse my French, but they're automatically going to fuck you over because they know that y'all don't know y'all rights. And when y'all go ahead and sign up for these transactions, they're just going to give you the paperwork telling you your down payment, your interest rate, and this is how long this is. And if you like the deal, you sign off. But all of the other stuff about your consumer information being reported, they don't go over this shit. You know what I'm saying? And quite frankly, this is how America goes. And corporations, they pay the salespeople to sell. They're not here to go over consumer rights and laws. They're going to leave that up to you to find that shit out. And they're going to leave it up to you to get it off your report. So I'm going to teach you how to do it. And I know some of y'all are thinking about like the third part here, that third section where it says to a person which it has reason to believe intends to use the information in connection with a credit transaction involve the consumer. And that's all fine and dandy, but before we get to the part where the financial institution is being a data furnisher to all three of those credit reporting agencies, before any file can be created or furnished, part 1 or part 2 has to be satisfied before part 3 can go into effect. So I just want to clap back in advance because I know people are going to ask that question. Oh, what about part 3? Parts 1 and 2 need to be satisfied before part 3 can go into effect. Part 3 cannot be legally binding if part 1 and part 2 are not satisfied. So they either got to have a court order subpoena or they got to have written permissible purpose from you, which is going to be the SSA 89, the SSA 3288, or another form clearly stating the procedures and policies for them sharing your non-public personal information to any non-affiliated third-party credit reporting agencies like Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, and so others. And then when they issue you that form, they still have to let you know, hey, this is how you can opt out of your information sharing. Okay? All right, y'all. I'm going to take it a step further. Okay? Rule 9037, privacy protection for filings made within the court. So we briefly went over this where I said that the court filings and these records, your non-public personal information is redacted within these files. So they're only going to show the last 4 digits of your social security number, the year of your birth, your initials, and the last 4 digits of the financial account number. So for bankruptcies and also for foreclosures, that is the information that is reported in the courthouse record. That is the information that goes to Pacer. Okay, guys? So understand that when LexisNexis is pulling this information from Pacer and they're trying to assign it to your consumer report, they don't have your full social, they don't have your full date of birth, they don't have your initials, and they don't have they only have the last 4 digits of the financial account number. So, like, that's not 100% verifiable and accurate at all. That could be, there are plenty of people that have the same name. Okay? There are plenty of people that have the same name and date of birth and initials. Okay? So, just keep that out there. Like, and then, like, you can't verify redacted information. Like, it's redacted for a reason. Only some of the information shows. So it's not a wholeness and completeness of their investigation, even when they decide that they want to furnish it to their consumer report, which is a whole nother violation. Okay? But I just want to go over the fact that the court rulings, y'all, when it comes to when it comes to foreclosures and bankruptcies, your whole consumer information is not showing. Okay? So they can't verify that and match that up with the information that's on your consumer report. But we're going to take this even a step further. All right, boom. So we're going to take it a step further. All right. So as we talked about, bankruptcy courts, they don't report non-public personal information to any consumer reporting agencies. So, name, social, address, stuff like that. We already know that if anything is being reported, it's being reported to Pacer and it's redacted, okay? So, boom, right? The personal information of the debtor is only stored in Pacer, okay? And that transaction happens solely between the court, your local county courthouse, and Pacer, okay? It's a private transaction, private business transaction. LexisNexis is a non-affiliated third-party agency that has procured a consumer report using the information from Pacer without any court order, subpoena, or permissible purpose to do so. We just talked about this, right? So what they do after they get this filing is that they resell and they traffic the consumer's non-public personal information to other non-affiliated third-party credit reporting agencies as a separate transaction. And that is when they furnish that bankruptcy or foreclosure information to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And that is identity theft. We're going to go over these definitions again. We're going to go over non-affiliated third party. We're going to go over non-public personal information. We're going to go over identity theft. So y'all know exactly what I mean. Because I know y'all thinking, like, identity theft is when you lose your wallet at the gym and somebody go ahead and swipe a bunch of credit cards in your name. That's the practical version of identity theft that a lot of y'all are used to. But identity theft has a completely different definition, okay? And this is corporate identity theft that they're doing. So I'm about to show y'all everything I'm talking about. All right, y'all. Non-public personal information. What is non-public personal information? Non-public personal information is personally identifiable financial information that is provided by a consumer to a financial institution that is a result of any transaction with the consumer or any service performed for the consumer otherwise obtained by the financial institution. It does not include publicly available information. Okay. The only thing that's publicly available information is your name, y'all. Everything else, your social security, your date of birth, your address, your employer, where you live, how long you lived there, how long you've been employed, your transactions and your experiences with all of your accounts, which is your payment history and your utilization, all of that other shit, that is non-public personal information. I'm not making it up. Y'all see the definition right here. So I just want to define that, and we just gonna move forward. So we finna break down everything related to identity theft and fraud, and I'm gonna show y'all exactly why LexisNexis is doing identity theft when they furnish these bankruptcies and these foreclosures. Okay, we finna break it all down. So go to 18 USC 1028. Okay, just Google it. It's gonna put you right to Cornell, and meet me there. Okay, y'all. So here we go. So these is all like the different like terms of identity theft and what they mean, but I want us to really focus on 7 and 8. Okay, identity theft happens when a entity knowingly transfers, possesses, or uses without lawful authority, meaning a subpoena, a means of identification of another person with the intent to commit, to aid or abet, or in connection with any unlawful activity that constitutes a violation of federal law, or that constitutes a felony under any applicable state, local law, or knowingly traffics in false or actual authentication features for use in false identification documents, document making implements, or means of identification. I'm gonna break this all down, trust me. So we're gonna go back to what LexisNexis does, and I'm gonna make sure that I can tie that to this right here, okay? So we talked about when LexisNexis goes in. Actually, let me just pull up the other screen so y'all can see that. Actually, we finna stay here because I think y'all already know the deal. So LexisNexis, right? They went to Pacer, right? The electronic court record system for your bankruptcy and your foreclosure, right? They went here, right? Without any lawful authority. There's no court subpoena. They don't have any written permissible purpose from you that authorizes them to go there and pull your consumer information, to pull a filing, a private court filing, right? They had no lawful permission to do that. So they went there and they took a means of identification, y'all. Remember, on that court filing, it has the last four digits of your social, it has your year of birth, it has your initials, and it has the last four digits of the financial account number. We just talked about this. This is the examples of non-public personal information. This is your private information, okay? The courts are authorized to have this information because they only report it to Pacer. They don't report this to consumer reporting agencies. It's in their electronic court system, so they have every right to keep that, okay? Because it's a court filing. It's a private filing between the court and its electronic system that stores data. That's all it is, right? But LexisNexis took the same data, right, as a means of identification, a means of identifying you, right? That's why they're furnishing it to your consumer report on LexisNexis, and they're furnishing it to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion to pull your credit rating down, to now make your consumer report look bad, okay? Because now they have used it as a means of identification of another person, which is you, the consumer, right? And it's with an unlawful activity that constitutes a violation because they're using information that is not even 100% verifiable and accurate because it's redacted court information, right? It's not the full account number. It's not the full social. It's not the full date of birth, right? They're doing that, and they are furnishing this information to they are already a non-affiliated third party in this transaction, right? We already determined that the original transaction of your court records is between the court, the in-house court system, the physical court system, and the Pacer, which is the online record keeper. You know what I'm saying? They're allowed to do that, right? Because it's the court, right? The courts don't report to consumer reporting agencies. So how is a consumer reporting agency pulling your non-public personal information, right? And now they're reselling it and they're trafficking it. They're putting it out there to they're already a third party, and now they're reselling it to other non-affiliated third party agencies. They are agencies. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion are not court controlled. They have nothing to do with the legal system. They should not be having any of this information, but they have it because LexisNexis is trafficking and reselling and sourcing them that information. Okay, y'all? So let's go to the next part. Okay? Knowingly traffics in false or actual authentication features for use in false identification documents, document making implements, or means of identification. Let's look at the definitions of all of these. All right, y'all. So what are means of identification? Means of identification are going to be any name or number that may be used alone or in conjunction with any other information to identify a specific individual. Okay? Name, social security number, date of birth, official state or government issued driver's license or identification number. You see everything else, taxpayer identification, okay? Fingerprints, voice, all of that, okay? Cool. So on the court filing, they have your name, they have your social security number, the last 4 digits. Even though it's redacted, it still counts as a means of identification. Your year of birth, okay? They have that information, guys. Your year of birth still counts as a means of identification. It's a part of your date of birth, okay? So understand that part still counts, okay? Even though it's a redacted court filing and it's the last 4 digits of your social, guys, okay? It still counts as a social security number, because this is the thing. When LexisNexis is pulling this information and they're trying to attach it to your consumer credit report with the other 3 credit reporting agencies, they're using that court filing as a means of identification to identify you in your credit profile number with Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Everybody that has a social security number that has credit in the United States has a unique credit profile reporting number with these 3 credit reporting agencies that corresponds to your social security number. So LexisNexis is using the court filing as a means to identify you. And what did we already say? The court filing is redacted, so it's not even 100% verifiable and accurate. So how are they using this to identify you? Let that sink in. All right, y'all. So let's talk about the Section 8 part, where it says it's knowingly trafficking false or actual authentication features for use. Right? Let's break down authentication features. Authentication feature means any hologram, watermark, certification, symbol, code, image, sequence of numbers or letters, or other feature that either individually or in combination with another feature is used by the issuing authority on an identification document, right? Document making implement or means of identification, whatever, right? So when we talk about bankruptcies and we talk about foreclosures, right? So, LexisNexis, once again, your name in the redacted filing, the last 4 of your social is a sequence of numbers, is it not? Is XXX 1, 2, 3, 4 not a sequence of numbers? I don't care if it's redacted, it's still a sequence of numbers, right? The year of birth that they pull from the court filing, that is a sequence of numbers. The last 4 of the financial account number that had to do with the mortgage that was foreclosed on is a sequence of numbers. I want y'all to really understand this, right? So understand that when they're pulling these redacted court filings, they are literally, LexisNexis is they are literally taking these redacted pieces of information and using them in conjunction with each other to try to authenticate your identity and furnish it to your consumer report with Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion to decrease your overall credit grade, which will damage you to be able to get any other type of lending or financial products. So let's now take it a step further. Let's talk about false identification documents. The term false identification document means that a document is for a type intended or commonly accepted for the purpose of identifying individuals that is not issued under the authority of a governmental entity or was not issued by the authority of a governmental entity, but was altered for the purposes of deceit and appears to be issued or under the authority of the U.S. government, subdivision, yada, yada, yada. All right, the other stuff is nice and all, but that's besides the point. Well, the point that I want to get to y'all, right, is that when they take that court filing, LexisNexis, when they take that court filing of you that has redacted social, redacted date of birth, redacted name and everything else, redacted account number, when they compile this and they furnish it to your LexisNexis consumer report and then resell that information to Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, Innovis, CoreLogic, whatever, they are creating a false identification document. Okay? They are creating a document that is for the means of identifying who you are and authenticating who you are. But how can they do that when that information is redacted? When they only have the last four of your social, they don't have your full date of birth. They don't have the full account number associated with the mortgage that was foreclosed on. They don't have the full account numbers that was associated with the financial ruin that happened when you filed the bankruptcy, whether it be Chapter 7 or 13. Okay? They don't have this shit. They don't have it. So when they compile this together and compile a consumer report in regards to this foreclosure or bankruptcy, they are creating a false identification document. Nothing about this identification document clearly and conspicuously proves that it was even your account. You can't prove that with last four of a social. You can't prove that with just a birth year that has no month and day. You can't prove that with just the last four digits of the account number. You can't prove it. It's a false identification document, y'all. They putting this shit together and they just selling that information and they bringing down y'all credit rating. The shit is identity theft. Like it literally is. It's no different than identity theft that happened when you lose your wallet at the gym and somebody take it and then they go ahead and apply for credit cards and shit. It's the same shit. And now we're going to take it another step further. Let's talk about the document making implement, okay? Because the whole definition on Section 8 was knowingly traffics and false or actual authentication features for use in false identification documents, document making implements, or means of identification, okay? So we described everything but the document making implements. The term document making implement means any implement, impression, template, computer file, computer disk, electronic device, or computer hardware software that is specifically configured or primarily used for making an identification document, a false identification document, or another document making implement. Okay? Y'all already know that by law, when LexisNexis take that redacted court file and they make a consumer report about that's already a false identification document. Okay? Because when they go ahead and furnish that does not completely identify who you are. They're using it to try to force that information onto your credit report, but it's redacted information, so there's no way to 100% accurately prove that. Okay, so that consumer report that they make, it's a template, and it is a computer file because they are data furnishers. LexisNexis is a data furnisher, which means that it can take and report information about you and place it in a computer file, right? That contains your name, your social, your this, your that, and they can resell that information to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. The question is, will you let them do this shit? Will you let that stay on your consumer report? Are you going to dispute it off your LexisNexis report? So now the other three credit reporting agencies have nothing to validate. Okay? So that's really that. That when they take that redacted court information and try to create an identification document, it's a false identification document because it doesn't completely show your details, right? And then number two, it is a computer file because they do put it in a Metro 2 reporting software that they will go ahead and literally resell that file of you to the other 3 credit reporting agencies. Okay? So, okay, guys, I just want to bring it back to the main point. Okay? So when LexisNexis, when they take your Pacer record, right, and they pull it and they try to make a consumer report out of that information related to your bankruptcy or your foreclosure, right, then they are knowingly and without lawful authority, because they don't have any written permission from you, and they don't have any subpoena from a court, right? They just go onto a website and they pull it. When they take this and they produce this identification document, which is this consumer report that says that you had a bankruptcy or you had a foreclosure, right? It's also an authentication feature because they're using bits and pieces, right? They're using redacted bits and pieces. They're using the last 4 of a social. They're using a year of birth, not a complete date of birth, and the last 4 of an account number. And none of these things can be 100% verified that these are yours because they're redacted, right? So they're knowingly and without lawful authority producing an identification document that is a false identification document. All right. So I just want to break that down step by step as to why that is identity theft. Why LexisNexis furnishing court records that are not to be reported to consumer reporting agencies. Why that is identity theft. Because you never gave them permissible purpose and they never had a court subpoena to go ahead and pull those records. But they did it anyway. And I just want to go back and go over the term traffic and what that means, right? So when LexisNexis, once again, when they get that redacted information, right, and they make a consumer report, and they report it to LexisNexis, and then they go ahead and they transfer this consumer report to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. That's what trafficking is. They're trafficking your information that you never gave them any type of permissible purpose to go ahead and furnish about you. Remember, the court systems do not furnish information to third-party consumer reporting agencies. The court system is only going to put court records on Pacer because that is where they electronically store their records. They're allowed to do that. LexisNexis has not been authorized by any government agency to go ahead and pull any bankruptcy or foreclosure report from any local county courthouse and transport it or transfer it or traffic it to anybody consumer report. They were never allowed that. Alright, so let's talk about this, the limits on the reuse of information, right? So we already know the sequence, right? When it comes to your bankruptcy and your foreclosure, LexisNexis, they took the redacted court information, right? Cool. They try to compose a report about that false identification document, right? Doesn't even have all of your features and likeness on there. Cool. So, understand that LexisNexis is already a non-affiliated third party, right? They went to Pacer, right? Pacer is the online court record system, right? The court is a financial institution in this case because the court is engaging in a financial activity by foreclosing on your property and selling it at the courthouse, right? Or they're engaging in financial activity by having you file bankruptcy in order to, be able to move forward in life with your finances and hopefully get back on your feet, right? Because you filed bankruptcy to say, I don't have any money to pay for all of this debt and all this other shit, right? So cool. So those are both financial activities. So the court is a financial institution, right? So LexisNexis, they basically stole your consumer report. They didn't receive it, but they stole it. You know what I mean? So, okay, they received it, quote unquote, right? And then they shall not directly or through an affiliate, right, disclose this information to any other person, which also is a corporation, right, that is a non-affiliated third party of both the financial institution and LexisNexis. And all they are is the receiving third party. That's what LexisNexis is, because they were the ones who got the report, right? Or made the report, right? So, understand that they already, I mean, there's so many violations, but they already took this information as a non-affiliated third party and then disclosed it to a whole nother non-affiliated third party, which is Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion are third-party agencies to LexisNexis, because LexisNexis has no corporate control with Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Like, those are four different companies. They're not in a joint venture together. Okay? They're not like LexisNexis doesn't own Experian or any of those, and Experian and them don't own LexisNexis. So they are not affiliated by corporate control, guys. This means that they are third-party agencies to each other. And they are also third-party agencies to the financial institution, which is the courthouse. The same courthouse where your bankruptcy and your foreclosure was filed. So a third party that is non-affiliated sharing to another third party is breaking the limits on the reuse of the information. So we already got the opt-out. They don't have any signed SSA forms. They reporting transactions and experiences. They making false identification documents. And now they also going past the limits on the reuse of the information, of your non-public personal information. That's 5 different violations that we have highlighted. There's no way you can't get this off your report. So now that the time is winding down, guys, I'm just going to go over a few other key points, right? The goal when you are getting bankruptcies and you are also getting foreclosures removed, right, is to go ahead and remove that and dispute it with LexisNexis. You want to make sure that LexisNexis, you send in that certified mail, okay, guys? You can go to letterstream.com and send it certified mail, your dispute letter, okay? You want to remove it from LexisNexis first, because that way it does not get funneled to any other credit reporting agencies. While you dispute it with LexisNexis, you can also dispute it with Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, okay? And you can say why them getting the information from LexisNexis is past the reuse of the information among the 4 or 5 other violations we already had, pretty much went over. You also want to freeze your LexisNexis while disputing this so the information does not get to any other credit reporting agencies. Once the information is removed from your LexisNexis, you can go ahead and unfreeze your LexisNexis. And with that being said, y'all, I just wanted to give y'all the whole game today. I know this is what people charge $10K, $20K for a course for, but this is literally how I do credit repair and how I get stuff removed, okay? I'm going to make another video on, this is the only time that you should be disputing any credit reporting agencies directly. When it comes to actual negative items on your report, you need to just be disputing the original creditor. But we're going to go over that in a whole different video, okay? And I'm going to go more in depth on the repossessions in a whole nother video as well. But we pretty much got to it today, so you should still have a good understanding of, how to dispute those. But with that being said, YouTube, I appreciate y'all. I have a lot of resources below if you want to get in contact with me. If you need help fixing your credit, I got a lot of other services too. Just go ahead and schedule a free consultation, book a free call with me, or you could book a paid one. And there's going to be plenty of other resources like primary trade lines or authorized uses to build y'all credit after y'all get this negative stuff removed, so go ahead and get funded. With that being said, y'all y'all subscribe, y'all help my channel grow, because this channel, I wanted to reach a lot of people so they can be able to, do credit repair themselves, DIY, and get it done. Because honestly, if you really got a few seconds in a day, you don't really need to pay a credit reporting company for real if you know you're a person that really can DIY it. So this video is for y'all, okay? With that being said, YouTube, I'm out. Peace.